Hello, my friends. I have a Kringle candle haul to share with you guys today, and this one is different than anything that I have ever done before here on my channel. These are candles that I actually purchased while I was in store. Now, if you've been watching my channel any length of time, you're probably like, Katie, don't you live in Arizona? The Kringle store is all the way in Massachusetts. Well, yes, but last month, my husband and I took an anniversary trip to Boston, and while we were there, I decided, you know what? I kind of want to see how far the Kringle store is. And it actually really wasn't while we were there. It was when I booked the trip. I actually reached out to Kringle and said to our contact there, and I said, how far is Kringle from Boston? And he told me it's about 2 hours. And I was like, done. We're renting a car. We're going to go out one day and visit in store. So it all worked out. And I wanted to share with you guys today what I ended up purchasing while I was in store. It was such a fun experience. I'm also going to include some B-roll here to just share with you some of the pictures and just kind of take you along with me. And I'm going to tell you guys what I ended up purchasing while I was in store. So if you like this video, please make sure you hit the thumbs up button. If you like fragrance content, particularly home fragrance and candles, and you feel like you vibe with me, please hit that subscribe button. And let's go ahead and talk about these candles. Now, I will list them down below in the description box for you, but I will warn you guys, a couple of these fragrances are not currently in stock, and a couple of them I don't think are coming back into stock. That is part of that was part of the fun, I would say, about being in store, and part of the blessing if you live close enough to go visit in store is that you might come across some fragrances that are no longer being offered online, which I'm going to tell you, I was pretty excited to come across two of these candles in store because we'll just say they're some of my all-time favorites. So I did visit the store on Friday, August 15th. I got there right at opening, which was around 11 o'clock in the morning. Something to keep in mind, you guys, is that I remember that looking on their website, I don't believe that the store is open on Mondays or Tuesdays. I don't even have that correct. So if you ever are interested in visiting the store, maybe you live within driving distance, or if you're planning to visit New England, make sure you check on the Kringle website what the store hours are before you make the trek. So it was about a 2-hour drive from Boston. We rented a car. It was a lovely drive out there, to be quite honest with you. We didn't hit any traffic. I was amazed at just how much green there is over there. Again, you guys, I've always lived out west. I grew up in Southern California, and then I live in Arizona. Both of those states carry their own beauty. I mean, California is a beautiful state. I'll give it that. And Arizona has its beauty too. But truthfully, you guys, I don't love the desert. If I can be honest, I just happened to fall in love with a man who grew up here and decided to move us here. But I've told him, I'm like, listen, sir, when you retire, and that was the perk of us kind of having our children a little bit younger. I said, when you retire, we're going to be traveling. I'm not staying here. And he's on board with that. He's got a little bit of an adventurous spirit too. But we enjoyed the drive out there. It was so green and beautiful. There was some running streams and rivers, just so much water and whatnot to look at. It's just, again, living in the desert, we're like, wow, there's water everywhere over here. But anyways, we took the 2-hour drive out to Bernardston, which is what I would consider to be like northwestern Massachusetts. In fact, it's very, very close to the Vermont and New Hampshire borders. And we got there around 11 o'clock, which was around opening time. And I went into the store, and it was nice. It was kind of quiet. There were a couple of other customers coming in. I loved it. I loved the grounds, the landscaping. Bernardston itself, I want to say the population is around like 600. It's tiny little town, which of course loved it. Charming, beautiful little town. And we walked in, and again, it was kind of quiet. I noticed a wall of extra large candles, the 4 wicks, and then like directly right ahead, they had the Halloween and Boo Crew candles on display, because again, that was the day that they were launching the Boo Crew in store and online. In fact, we were about an hour from launch time online at that point. So I knew that, I already knew how I felt about the Boo Crew, because I was fortunate enough that they had kindly sent me that collection to me in PR. And so I immediately walked over to that display and popped 2 Boo Crew candles into my cart. The first one was Ghost Stories. We have fragrance notes of spicy pink pepper, aromatic juniper, balsamic amber, woodfire clove, smoky guaiac wood, roasted chestnut, fresh orange blossom, blonde woods, and warm vanilla bean. And yeah, this smells just like the one that I received in PR. Now, I did do a review on this, and I did mention that this fragrance, if you like fragrances like Bath & Body Works Marshmallow Fireside, if you like warm and toasty, if you like any of those kind of like sweet but smoky type of fragrances, then this is going to be your jam. Now, it's funny. I have actually burned the first one that I received in PR. I've burned about 2/3 of that candle. And it's funny, the longer that I have burned that candle, you know what fragrance I actually have nailed down what it reminds me of the most is if you have had the Maison Margiela replica by the Fireside perfume, that's what this fragrance reminds me of. So I was really happy to get another one of these because I love the packaging on it. And I am somebody who will burn this type of fragrance anywhere fall through the winter time. This is a pretty versatile fragrance that I like to burn, particularly in the evenings. I like kind of these sweet, smoky type of fragrances. So I made sure to put one of these in my cart. And I will show you in the B-roll here, you'll actually see that the Boo Crew setup, I mean, they had some candles out, but I want to say that there was maybe only like 5 or 6 candles of each fragrance out, maybe a couple of more, but it wasn't this huge like wall-to-wall display of the Boo Crew. I think that they really were trying to make sure that they had a lot of that inventory available for the online purchases. But they did have some there in the store. The other fragrance that I did decide to go ahead and purchase from the Boo Crew, no surprise, was Lil Devil in the Cat. Spoiler alert, you guys, you will already see in my empties video for August that I did finish burning through an entire one in the puppy format. That Kringle did send it to me in the puppy and the kitten. So now I have 2 kittens in my collection. Fragrance notes are lush pumpkin, sweet nutmeg, creamy custard, spicy clove, cozy cinnamon, rich maple syrup, caramelized sugar, earthy carrot, and warm vanilla. I will say that I think these 2 were my favorite from the Boo Crew. This is very similar to like Yankee Candle's spiced pumpkin. It's just kind of, I mean this in the best way, it's kind of a generic spiced pumpkin type of fragrance. I get a little bit of that vegetal quality of the carrot that comes out upon burn. But I love this fragrance. It's very versatile. It goes with a lot of the other candles that I currently have in my fall collection. So I knew that I wanted to have, I knew that I was going to finish probably the puppy one this year. I might light up one of my other ones this year. I probably don't see myself finishing another one, but I wanted to hold on to it. I wanted to have at least one more for backup. And then there were some other Halloween candles from part 1 that were still on display in that area. You guys know the part 1 launch, there was nothing that I was really head over heels for. However, the fragrance that I love the most well, let me back it up. There was one fragrance that I was head over heels for in that part 1 launch, and it was Pumpkinhead. Now, they did not have any more of Pumpkinhead in store. However, I forgot to include the backup Pumpkinhead candle that I ordered from when that launch went live, the part 1 launch. When it went live, I actually ordered another backup of Pumpkinhead, as well as that was at the time when I purchased the Kittens and Cashmere 4-wick, which I've already shown in another haul video. It was funny. I was looking back on that video and I was like, I know I didn't place an order for just Kittens and Cashmere. What else did I have in that order? And then it dawned on me. I was like, oh, Pumpkinhead. But by then I had already put it away in my closet and I was like, oh, I'll just show it at another time. So I did want to show you guys that I did add to my collection another Pumpkinhead, but this was not during the in-store purchase. I just wanted to show you that. This one has a little bit more of a citrus and orange with that spiced pumpkin. Again, another great fragrance. I don't know if I'll light this one up this fall. I might. I'm still finishing burning the original one that I was sent in PR, but I might light this one up again this fall. I don't know. Again, pretty similar to Lil Devil. It's just one of those fragrances that I know that I love enough that I would want it around next year for fall. But great fragrance. So after I looked at all of the Halloween candles. They also had a lot of their reserve fragrances available on a wall, and I was really intrigued to get my nose on a couple of those because there's quite a few of the reserve fragrances that I have not smelled in person, and those are not available in daylight. So those are a little bit more of an investment. I have been fortunate to have been sent a lot of the more recent reserve candles in PR, but the ones that were released quite some time ago, I hadn't smelled before. So it was fun kind of taking a little sniff session, a little sniff tour among all of the reserve candles. I will tell you that there is one reserve candle that actually really stood out to me, and it surprised me. Can you guess what one it was? You guys, I really loved Vanilla Rose Cone. I actually made a little bit of a mental note that I said, okay, this is one that I want to get in a 4-wick. I would probably burn that in the springtime, but I really, really enjoyed it. Just a very pretty scent. It was the reserve fragrance that actually stood out to me the most. So yeah, made a little bit of a mental note. I did not purchase it at that time because I thought, I can wait until spring. But yeah, I was very happy to have discovered a new love while I was in there. So after I looked at a lot of the reserve candles, we took a little gander on over to the left, and sure enough, I saw a bunch of 3-wick candles, and they're medium-sized, like their Kringle tumbler, they're medium jars. We know that they are trying to, fire sale those, I guess. Those actually were all on sale, 3 for $33. You could like mix and match. So I was definitely sniffing around at a lot of those 3-wicks. I ended up not purchasing any of the 3-wicks from that table, but there was quite a few that were being offered, and I know that there's quite a few people that really enjoy those 3-wicks. I think the reason why I didn't purchase them was because I actually initially I had a lot of success with the 3-wicks when they initially launched, but something happened where I feel like I've had hit or miss performance from the 3-wicks. I think maybe that also might be why they are discontinuing that format. Some of them have burned really well for me, but other ones I've had some wick issues on. So I have a feeling that, they were just trying to move along from those. So, and now truthfully, you guys, if there's a fragrance that I love, I'm going to pick it up in the 4-wick format because that has become my new favorite with Kringle. So after looking at that display, we headed into this other room, which was like a giant Christmas room. Oh my goodness. They had Christmas trees. They had Santa Claus. They had all of like the holiday fragrances that we know and love, like Christmas and juniper and laurel and snowy bridge, and like all of the holiday scents were there. I was glad that I was able to get my nose on a couple of candles again that I have not had in daylight format before, but I was able to, sniff around at them. I did also happen to see some of the limited edition candles that I think it was like an overseas collaboration that they had last year. It was like the Thomas Kincaid collaboration. They had a couple of those. Personally, I didn't purchase any of them just because they were fragrances that I feel like they weren't unique enough to me that I felt like I really needed to add them to my collection, but it was nice to see them in store. But yeah, it was just they had a beautiful setup and display there. And then all of the rooms are kind of like interconnected. So then after I walked through there, I moseyed on into the next room over, which I believe was like their big, pretty much all of the candles that are in their like permanent lineup. So it was all of the Kringle tumblers were in there. You got your daylights and your wax melts. And then they had a little bit of a smaller area that was all country candle. Now, the country candles were all 60% off. The Kringle large jars, I think, were being offered at that time. There was a sale. I want to say it was like 4 for 80 or something like that. I don't remember exactly what the sale was, but the country jars did catch my eye because they were 60% off. So one of the country jars that I ended up purchasing, I actually have already, I purchased it and decluttered it. And you're like, why did you do that? It wasn't actually really declutter. I actually purchased the candle as a gift for my mother-in-law. She was watching our home while we were gone, and she likes to burn candles, and I know what type of fragrances are in her wheelhouse. She loves warm, cozy, kind of spicy fragrances. So one of the country jars that I came across was Welcome Home, and that smells very, very similar if you are somebody who is familiar with Yankee Candle's Home Sweet Home, which is kind of like a cinnamon and clove type of fragrance. There's a warmth to it. That's what it reminded me of, and so I decided to go ahead and purchase that candle for her. But I also purchased while, I had just taken a stroll through all of the Christmas room, and I came across one of my favorite fragrances. I could not resist purchasing this one, but it is the fragrance Wishing for Christmas. We all know how much I love this scent. The fragrance notes are not listed on the bottom of this candle, but this to me is, I think it's similar to Yankee Candle's Christmas Wish. This is sugar cookies and pine tree. That's what I get from this. I'm going to give you guys a fragrance combo that I love. This one paired with the crinkle cookies from the Kringle lineup. If you burn them in, like rooms to complement each other, burn it, thank me later. It makes your house just smell so good. So I actually already have half of a full-size jar, and then I bought a medium jar during one of the more recent sales, but I saw this just sitting there and I was like, I'm sorry, I can't pass it up. This is one of my all-time favorite holiday fragrances. And I was like, I need to have at least another one, especially again, knowing that Country Candle is going away. I hope that this one makes it into the Kringle lineup eventually, because this is just such a good fragrance. And I do know that they have had it in the Kringle format before. They've had it in the Mercury jars when they were doing those a couple of years ago. So I hope that this is a fragrance that they keep around, because it's just such a good one. It's very nostalgic Christmas to me. Not as nostalgic as Yankees Home for the Holidays. That's my number one nostalgic home Christmas fragrance, because that's the fragrance my mom always burned. But this Wishing for Christmas is up there. There's something about it that screams like 90s Christmas to me, and I absolutely love it. So while I was perusing the Country Candles right there, you guys, I came across a true gem. One that it was a limited edition candle. It is not available on the Kringle website anymore. And there was one, just one, sitting by itself on the shelf. And you better believe I spotted it and I grabbed it and put it in my cart so quickly. I was like, nobody else see this. I told Cody, I said, don't let anybody take that out of the cart. It is the fragrance Banana Bread. So we have fragrance notes here of banana bread, vanilla, and homemade bread. Now this one, this just smells like banana bread batter to me. Not like a freshly baking banana bread, but like the batter. And I just love this fragrance so, so much. So yummy. I don't know why I never purchased it when it went on clearance a few times, and I was trying to be good about my collection and be like, but when I spotted this in store, I was like, I'm sorry, I can't resist. I want another one for my collection. So into my cart it went. It smells just as good as I remember it. This is a fragrance that I typically like to burn, usually like in the spring and summer. This is like a good spring or summer gourmand for me. I do tend to like banana fragrances. And so I was really, really happy to come across that one, because again, it was the only one left. They did also have a little area where you could, what was it, like make your own perfumes. And then the rest of the store, there was just like, they still just had more fragrances available. I talked to one of the store employees for a while. He was a very friendly gentleman. I interacted with some of the other customers. We were just kind of having fun talking about, what fragrances really appeal to us. But the room that was kind of like the most exciting for me, I would say the banana bread, I was pretty much on a high about finding that banana bread. But I did venture into the back room, which is where they have all of their clearance candles. Joe told me that in around the holiday season, they actually set that up to be kind of like a visit with Santa type of room, where they have Santa Claus there and people bring their kids and they can come and take photos with Santa. So they kind of turn it into like a Christmas wonderland, I guess, back there. But for right now, it was the clearance room. And let me tell you guys, I walked in there, and those of you guys who are in the Kringle Facebook group, you guys already know. You already know what candle I came across. But I think that there were maybe like 6 or 7 of this fragrance, this candle. Y'all, I bought 4 of them. Truthfully, I probably would have bought all of them, except Cody was with me, and he kind of, he was trying to keep my budget in check. But if he wasn't with me, truthfully, I probably would have bought all 7, because this is one of my all-time favorite fragrances from Kringle. They discontinued it. It's no longer around. But the 3-wick candle that I came across was Sugared Diamonds, which is the fragrance Fruit and Flakes in the 3-wick format. Fragrance notes of strawberry, red berry, baked pastry, banana, oats, cinnamon, clove, vanilla, and cooked sugar. Again, this is one of my favorite, like early spring, summer gourmand fragrances. It's warm and inviting, but there's something that's a little bit more spring summery. This isn't really a fragrance I would burn in the fall, again, because of that banana note. I don't really get the berry note much in here, maybe a tinge of it, but not a whole lot. It's just warm, slightly spiced. You got warm oats. Oh, it's just so good. I love burning this with banana bread. So I was like, perfect. I found two fragrances that I love to burn together. I also love burning this with Bath and Body Works Hummingbird Tea Cake. Oh, this one's just so good. So again, I bought 4 of them. They were on sale, I think, for like $10 each. But yeah, if they had been like a lower price point, I legit would have bought all of them. But again, Cody was there. It was like going hunting with the game warden with you. You know, I mean, it's fun, but like I could have gotten into more trouble if he wasn't there. But he was, he was such a good sport, and he, was taking all of the footage for me, and he was having fun smelling all of this stuff too. He actually likes a lot of fragrance too. Sometimes we have a little bit different tastes, but he was having fun sniffing everything, and we were just having a grand old time. So those are all of the candles that I ended up purchasing. Like I said, I went up to the front, checked out, asked for them to have them shipped to me, which they did. And they were even kind enough to honor my request to not ship them out. I asked them to hold the candles for about a week because I knew that I was going to be getting on a cruise ship the next day. I wasn't going to be coming home for another week, and I didn't want the candles being immediately shipped out and then be sitting, possibly out in the hot sun here in Arizona. So these candles did arrive a couple of days after I got back home, which was perfect for me. But actually, after I checked out, we ended up going across the street to the farm table, which is a building that the front part of the building. I'm trying to remember everything that Joe told me. So Joe, if you're watching this, I'm sorry if I'm butchering all of it, but this was almost a month ago now. But that front building, they said, was actually very, very old, like built like in like the late 1700s, I would say. And then they've just kind of expanded on it. Over the years to, make room for, the restaurant there. I believe that the restaurant, the farm table, is actually independently owned and operated, although I think the building is owned by Kringle. And then there was a separate building on the backside there. I can't remember exactly what it was called. Joe said that is actually where they used to house, that used to be where like all of like the Christmas displays were. And it used to be kind of like one big like Santa's workshop type of thing, but they have since converted that to a building where the day we were there, they host like events there. So there was a bridal shower actually being set up while we were there. They said sometimes they host weddings in that venue. It was beautiful. And then there was a separate building again that I think has been moved 3 times on the property there. It's been built or moved 3 times. A very, very old building, like a 300-year-old building that has been moved, a tiny little cottage, and they use that as like the bridal suite. Or they also say sometimes they offer it if it's going to be a smaller, more intimate bridal shower or baby shower or just some type of event that was offered there. But it was really great to get a little bit of a tour of all of the things there. I was thinking, dang, I'd have some events here if I could, because it was just, the setting was absolutely beautiful, kind of that rustic, quaint, kind of like New England charm. It was a beautiful day, the day that we were there. So we ate lunch outside, had a fabulous lunch. I got a burger and it was really, really good. Cody enjoyed his meal as well. And I will just say, it was really fun because Joe, who is the marketing manager, he's the one who handles the affiliate program too. So I've been messaging with him back and forth since I've been an ambassador with the program. And so it was really fun to actually be able to sit down and put a face to somebody that I've had online interaction with. Just a very incredible, kind man. And it was just, I really, really enjoyed my day there. And then after we finished lunch, he actually offered to take me over to the factory, the shipping warehouse, kind of see more of the behind the scenes, what goes on. And I said, absolutely, I will take you up on that. Now, I did not get any kind of B-roll or pictures while I was there because Kringle does pour for some other companies. And so I didn't want to compromise any of their contracts or anything like that. But the building where they do that is not very far from the store. So we pulled up on the site there and went into the building, and I got to see the room where I got to see like all of the wick samples. I got to see kind of the room where they test out the candles. Like they opened up the door and there was like this stainless steel table, and I swear there were like 50 candles burning there. You know, that's where they're doing kind of their quality control. Got to see, you know, some of the kind of like the concepts that they're coming up with, you know, testing things out. Like I've always said in a lot of my reviews, and it's not just me, I know some other reviewers have touched on this. You guys, there is so much more that goes into the process of designing a candle, coming up with the fragrance, testing out the wicks. There is so much that goes into that, so much more than I think what we as consumers oftentimes think of. And so it was kind of neat to just see how that played out behind the scenes. I did get to get a peek into kind of like their meeting room where they kind of where they come up with the graphic design. So like I got to see the rooms where like they were testing out the candles, but then there's a room where they're coming up with the design concepts of like what vessels are they looking at possibly expanding into. And it was actually kind of fun when I walked in there. I saw now, you know, now we have the fall reserve candles and we have the holiday candles, which I will have the holiday preview video up for you guys. Hopefully this weekend. It will definitely be up before the launch next week. But I was actually even able to see, like I walked in there and I said, oh, are those the holiday candles? And he was like, yeah. I didn't see the fragrance notes. I did also see, and again, you guys, it was a quick snapshot, but I did see a kind of a rough idea of some of the candles that are going to transition from the country candle line that they are going to put into the permanent Kringle lineup. So there are quite a few that are going to make it over there. And I thought, oh, people are going to be happy to see that. But it was just fun. It was fun to kind of see like what goes on behind the scenes, see how they come up with some of the labels, some of the ideas behind that. And then he took me into the big room where they pour the candles. Oh my word, you guys, that like the actual like factory warehouse. It was kind of a really cool experience. You could see like, you know, the vats of wax and, you know, how they pour them all and the assembly line where it's going and seeing, you know, everything being poured. And one of the things that I noticed, you know, it was interesting, especially I've noticed this on some of my Kringle candles that sometimes you'll see a little line of demarcation there at the top, and it is because they do the initial pour. They pour it to a certain height, and then it makes its way along the assembly line. It's kind of cooling a little bit, and then they pour it and top it off. I can't remember the exact reason for that, but I think it was because to allow the fragrance oils to settle, and then they top it so that way it looks a little bit more smooth. Sometimes the candles get moved before everything completely cools, and you get those air bubbles. But that was kind of an interesting thing to see take place. And then I did also see, you know, where they pull everything from. I mean, I legitimately, you guys saw like the process of what takes place when the orders come in, they get the sheets, how they're pulling all the candles off of the shelves. I mean, I saw the shelves where they're pulling all of our candles as they order them. And I even met the famous Queen Jamie who packs all of our orders. She was very busy that day because again, they were still trying to fulfill part 1 Halloween orders. Boo Crew had just dropped. And she was just very gracious to say hello very briefly. So again, fun to see a face to the name that we all get. We all get Jamie's notes and her expertise packing. But yeah, it was a really great experience. And I think I want to just say, like, I think how I want to end this is just by saying that, like, being there, I'm really proud to have my name affiliated with the brand. I think that that's one of the things that it reinforced that for me. Like I already knew just from the interactions I've already had with Kringle, you know, through email and whatnot, that I was dealing with people who they're operating with some character and integrity, but being there in person, you guys, it was actually a reminder for me, and I think this is a good reminder for all of us too. We see Kringle's presence online, and they are building, they are becoming more well known, but they are still, you guys, not the corporate structure of Bath and Body Works, Yankee, you know, like. Which little sidetrack, I did stop at the Yankee store on our way home in Deerfield, and it was massive. The grounds were beautiful, but I didn't feel compelled to buy anything there while I was there. I just kind of visited to kind of visit. But I will just tell you that the vibe that I got when I was at Kringle is that it is still very much a small business. Again, their online profile or their online presence is pretty big, but I didn't see like tons and tons of employees. I met some of the employees, but it was still very much a small business. You can tell the employees, they know each other, that they are definitely, they're giving jobs to people in a small town. And I really appreciated that while I was there, but it was also that reminder of like, okay, now that I've been there, I see that they are working hard behind the scenes. Like when we get candles that sell out pretty quickly, you guys, they're pouring a ton, but there's high demand, right? And then there's only so much room in the factory. Like the factory was not even like these Amazon warehouses that I drive by when I'm on my way down. Here in Arizona, we've got a ton of warehouses along one of the roads out in Western Phoenix that have been built up. There's like the Skechers warehouse, the Amazon warehouse, the UPS. Those warehouses are massive, right? The Kringle warehouse was tiny compared to these like huge, massive warehouses. So I think sometimes it was just a good reminder to know that like, this is still in many ways a small business. They are successful, but yeah, I don't know. I felt, I don't know how to put it. Like I felt happy or like proud to have my name affiliated with a brand that I feel like they're doing things right. They're doing things right. They're not biting off too much. They're not trying to do more than they can chew. They're not wanting to sacrifice quality. They're still listening to customer feedback. The people that I met were just as genuine and kind in person as, I've suspected that they would be, just through, email communication. And in fact, I remember that night when we got back to our hotel in Boston, I did make sure to send Mick a DM and tell him, I just said, hey, you've got some great employees working for you. Very, very pleased with my visit to the store. I would love to return, ideally in my ideal perfect world, I would like to make another visit there maybe next fall. I can take in some leaf peeping while I'm there. But anyways, I would just say, you guys, if you ever get the chance, I would highly recommend it. You can make a day of it, do some shopping, go visit the farm table, get a delicious meal over there, and just enjoy the scenery, enjoy slowing down, getting out of the city, and just enjoy what it has to offer. So let me know in the comment box down below, did you enjoy this video? What do you think of some of the fragrances that I was able to come across, some of these gems that I was so excited to get a hold of? Let me know, are you fortunate enough to live in the New England area? Are you within driving distance? Have you ever been to the store? I'd be curious to know what your experience has been. So once again, if you like this video, please make sure you hit the thumbs up button. Consider subscribing if you are new. You guys, I have actually kind of set a little late, like end of year goal to possibly get to 2,000 subscribers. I'm inching up there, but if you have been taking in my content for any length of time and you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, it doesn't cost you any money. It lets you know when I upload new videos if you subscribe, and then it helps me out as well. But I would love it if you would consider hitting that subscribe button if you enjoy my content, and if you vibe with me, feel free to stick around a little bit longer by hitting that button. So anyways, you guys, I do want to say thank you so very, very much for spending your time here with me today. I hope you enjoyed this one. I will have more videos coming up for you guys. In fact, in a couple of days, I'll have another Kringle video up for you guys going over the holiday collection that was sent to me in PR. But yeah, anyways, you guys, I do want to say once again, thank you so much for spending your time here with me today. And until my next one, I hope you all go out and have a very blessed day. Bye.